The State of Star Wars, Spring 2021. That's what we're doing here on the Resistance broadcast.
That's
Welcome,
your excited
everybody.
voice?
It is that, I don't know if it's, I was trying to do like a news guy voice, like, tonight at 11, the State of Star Wars. What is going on?
You tried to be excited, but dialed it to like a 4 out of 10, and you were like, so.
That was not my excited voice. That was my news promo guy voice.
Okay.
So anyway, like I was saying, the State of Star Wars, Spring 2021 edition. I'm John. Thanks for joining us today, everybody. It is the Resistance broadcast. Yeah, so if you're new to the show, you don't know what that means. Pretty much every quarter, Disney does their investors calls. We like to do a thing called the State of Star Wars here on TRB, where we pretty much go in with no directive, no topics, just talk about what we think is happening in Star Wars, our thoughts on it, and that's going to be our discussion today, our Spring 2021 edition. And it's nice sometimes to go back on these and say, man, this is what we had to say back in fall, this is what we had to say since then. We did one in July, and a lot of things change, and our opinions obviously change with new information and stuff like that comes out. So it's going to be a fun one today. Lacey and James with me, as always. Lacey, if for our audio listeners, Lacey wants everybody to know she's wearing a big red shirt tonight.
It's a sweatshirt. Way to make me feel insecure about it.
I am not at all. I'm celebrating it.
Before the episode, I'm like, I feel like this sweatshirt's so boxy and it doesn't fit
What's
me
on
well.
it?
So then he brings up, hey guys, Lacey's wearing this sweatshirt she hates.
Is it a lightsaber?
It's Kylo Ren's lightsaber. It says Kylo Ren.
That's cool.
It's
Yeah,
beautiful.
I like
It just,
I like
I'm a small person. So, but fun fact for everybody listening, which you should be because this is a podcast. Tomorrow technically is my 3-year anniversary of being on this podcast.
Oh my God. Wow.
That's quality right there.
I don't do the math. I believe
3
you.
years?
Mm-hmm.
Wow. Long time.
3 years we'll never get back, John.
First time caller. Wasn't the first thing you said on the podcast?
Oh yeah.
First thing I ever said on the podcast was long time listener, first time caller, which
That's
was a total lie.
Yeah.
You never listened to us before?
I'd listened to a couple, but not like a long time listener.
Yeah.
But where would you guys be without me? I think I also ate a steak on that episode, but I can't remember.
No, that was a different episode.
Oh, that was the second episode.
Yeah. Yeah, well, we can celebrate that tonight. Because Lacey, I don't know if you know this, but the virtual cantina is happening tonight.
I don't know about the thing that I invented is happening. Weird.
Did you know that?
No. What?
Lacey, that's where we would be if you weren't on this podcast. There would be no virtual cantina.
There wouldn't be a lot of things, let's be honest.
We're celebrating 3 years
Kessel
of Gillerin
no.
with the I came up with Kessel Run, I think.
No, I came up with Kessel Run. We always go through this. I came up with it, and it makes you mad because you didn't come up with it.
I came up with the number 12 though, I think.
No, you did not. No, you did not. We were talking about top countdowns, and I said, let's do 12 like the Kessel Run and call it the Kessel Run. And every time you go, I swear I would have come up with that. It's way clever. And I was like, for once I did.
I think it was a top 10 list and you wanted to call it like the best of the rest or something. I don't know.
Best in the rest? What?
I'm just glad that, the whole make Solo 2 happen thing that I created caught on,
You've got the sweatshirt on.
Depending on the website. Yeah. You were the first. I guess you were the first to tweet it. So
that's official.
Yeah, but no, tonight, everybody, obviously you can't get enough of us, of what's going on right here. So tonight we'll be bringing this brand of silliness with us to the virtual cantina. If you're watching on YouTube, this is where it's going to be. Just a different video, probably like right over there, or whichever way you're looking at me. But live tonight, 8:30 East, we'll be doing a live stream hangout. And if you reserved a spot, we will see you in one of the rotating time slots. But if not, no worries. The live chat will be open and happening throughout the whole event. So tell a friend about it. Venture into the live chat it up there, and we'll be giving shout outs to some of your comments that are popping up in there.
Maybe some prizes. We'll see.
As Dryden Voss puts it, it's a party.
I love how he says that.
Oh, it's the best. It is the absolute. I don't know why I get so worked up. It's a party.
It's a party.
I'm actually potty training my son right now.
I'm trying to, dude. It is. We have big regressions happening. That's all I'm gonna say.
All right. Moving forward.
But they like the real stuff. See you all tonight right here on the channel. But here you are for an episode of TRB. So let's get into it. James, I didn't really get to say hi to you, James, but we kind of grazed over that.
James, tell me what your favorite moment from me being on the podcast is, since we're clearly celebrating my presence.
I can tell you right now. Do you want me to get sentimental or do you want me to get like?
No, I don't want you to get sentimental. Don't make it weird.
I can make things real weird in here.
Don't make it weird. I don't like sentimental. Make fun of me. Make a joke. The moment you get nice, I get my hands are already sweating. As soon as you said that, my hands started sweating.
She's dying, folks. I think my favorite moment might be right now, watching Lacey just lose it.
I don't like feelings.
You don't like feelings?
Like nice things, I guess, about me.
James, remember what you said to me about Lacey after our live panel?
Stop.
All right. Will of the Force is the segment. Another guy who I think does like feelings and extra beyond the realm of life feelings, Mr. Chirrut Imwe.
I fear nothing, for all this, as the Force wills it.
That's right, John. We're going to be doing Will of the Force this week, but before we get into it, I wanted to take a second here to talk about our Patreon. And that's, if you like what we do here on TRB, please consider supporting the show on patreon.com/resistance broadcast. As thank you for our support, we offer a lot of cool perks and benefits of being a resistance officer, including submitting topics for this very segment, Will of the Force. If you join at the level that is called Major or Up, right, you can start submitting topics to this show. And before we dive in, or this segment, I should say, before we dive into this week's topics, let's take a look at the generals of our Patreon and give them a huge shout out. Those people are Carmelo Andrew Staley, Jeremy Myers, Neil Shaw, David Probus, John Breesy, Micah Harrison, Jetta Rosewater, Michael Gaines, Beer Fett Bethany, Russ Harbison, Kendall Gellner, Paul Olson, Jake Houchins, Jeff Connery, Oliver Lewis, Dave Hornack, Frank Grande, and of course, as always, Val Trenchkoff. All right, guys. Thank you guys so much for being generals and being supporters of the show. Let's get into it. We're going to start off right away by answering one of the submissions that I was talking about. This one's actually coming from Commander Kyle Baker. That's a tier 3. So he's above
what
2.
Up, Kyle?
So he's above the major level as Commander. All right, he wanted to know, will we learn about another, as of yet, unannounced Star Wars show or movie on May the 4th this year? Because you got to keep in mind, remember, last year we were told about Taika's movie and Leslye Headland's new show, both happening on May the 4th. So, Lacey, I'm starting with you on this one first. What do you think?
Imagine if they told us Solo was happening on May the 4th.
Cancel all your plans, folks.
We were like, just wait 2 weeks. No, I think they will. They tend to hold stuff for May the 4th. And I think with it being 2020 last year and how crazy it was and all the projects they announced for the Disney investor call, I think that there's definitely stuff they left off the list. And I think that it would be a really cool way to give fans something to talk about on May the 4th, something to get excited about, and then get people talking on May the 4th about something specifically. It's an easy way to use publicity around Star Wars that's already there to promote a project. So, yes, I think they will. I think we're going to get updates to a lot of their current projects, too. Maybe a trailer or something for Andor or whatever.
Yeah, John, what do you think? Any chance?
That is tough, man.
Imagine you say no right now, and then they do announce Solo, and then... yeah.
I'm gonna say no. I don't think they will this year.
Lame.
Only because I feel like Disney is on a little bit of shaky ground with finances right now, and maybe they want to make sure they're on solid footing before they announce something, so they don't shoot themselves in the foot. So while they did announce stuff last year, that bucked the trend a little bit. Previous years before that, they didn't do stuff like that, almost to the point where fans would make jokes like, Yeah, because everyone keeps thinking they're going to announce something on May the 4th, and they never do. Then last year, they're like, bam, there you go. Bam, there's another one.
Mm-hmm.
But I think they're going to divert back to that, especially with the finances they got going on. So I don't think they will announce something this May the 4th.
Are you ignoring the 100 series a year / all their financiers are going to streaming?
I have given my answer.
All right. You had your moment.
My initial thought.
You want to pie bet it?
I'll do a pie bet.
Okay, let's do it.
It has to be a brand new live action TV series or film announcement.
One
so
that we
it can't be
haven't
like an
gotten
update.
already.
It's got to be something.
No
brand
updates.
Yeah.
Yeah, a brand new
New.
announcement.
It has to be live action. It can't be animated.
No. Animated.
Why not?
That's an easy thing to announce.
Okay, no, it's not.
Hold on.
Well,
Yeah,
he said show or movie.
The question is
I
show
felt-
or Star Wars show or movie. Yeah, it's not live action necessarily.
I'm just leaving. The bet for me is only live action. Take it or leave it.
So you're afraid then that you're wrong.
No, you're afraid that you're like backing into the corner of animated. That's
No,
what
I'm
saying.
not. I'm backing into the corner of all
You're-
Star Wars.
You know what
counts.
they call that? They call that hedging your bets. That's what they call that.
No, I call that I believe in all Star Wars, John, not just live action.
You don't. You're not an animated Star Wars fan. Shut up.
Yes, I am.
Um.
Come on, everything. Wait.
So what does that mean? An animated show?
Anything brand new.
No, you can't say anything.
no.
We have to make sure.
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
clear
it's gotta be-
here.
It's got to
TV
be a
show or
show
movie?
or movie.
Brand new.
Brand new show,
Not
Star
book,
Wars series,
Not any. Yes.
Yeah, yeah,
or
yeah.
movie.
Yeah.
I'm not doing a fake handshake. I'm just gonna go over to your house and smash a key lime pie in your grill.
If they don't do it on May the 5th, Revenge of the 5th, you can come in my house and smash a pie in my face.
Okay, fine.
But if
Here
that's
we
the other way
go.
around, then I get to go to your house and smash it in your face.
I should be vaxxed by then too, so I can just like lick your doorknobs. I can do all that stuff.
Ew, what? All right, pie bet. What's the last pie bet? Oh, it was Luke Skywalker. James
I
is owed
still
a pie.
owe James. Yeah, I may do this thing. You can order. I think you can order telegrams. I may order a telegram where someone goes to his
Pies
house
in
and
oh my god.
he answers the door and he gets drilled in the face with a pie. And hopefully Rachel doesn't answer the door.
Oh my god, imagine if she did and then she's the one that got back.
We'd have a problem, I think.
You have a real problem.
All that coffee she got would not make up for it.
Yeah, yeah.
James,
I
what
don't-
was your answer, by the way?
I didn't give it. Yeah.
James is gonna say no.
Do you want to get in on this?
No. Because here's the thing is that I was originally going to say no. And then the question was like, Kyle was kind of reminding me, oh, that's right. We did get a lot of announcements last year. So I started rethinking it. But the real answer is, in my opinion, that no, they're not going to, because they already have a lot of content that people are excited to hear more about that they can easily fall back on. And that is going to be, they could put out a trailer for a show. They could put out, more behind the scenes or a new interview or a new look at like so many different things. I mean, even if we got just a little bit more information on, say, Lando, John, you look pretty legit in that helmet. You look right out of
I think you look
1977.
Looks like they're on some kind of a convoy or something.
Yeah.
Your chin fit in that
No,
chin strap?
What do you? What do you have a big chin? What, Jay Leno? What the hell kind of a comment is that?
I'm gonna read some headlines here. All right. Yeah, that's my answer.
Red 7
Do we
standing
want to
by.
move on to the next one?
Yeah.
We got another question here. Will Star Wars Rogue Squadron, different thing, which is set to come out December of 2023, gross $1 billion with a B at the box office? John, I'm starting with you on this one. What do you think?
John Pie Walker as of May the 5th.
Oh.
Red Pie standing
Ooh.
by.
Red pie.
Red Pie.
The Pies of Skywalker is coming to
Yeah.
Lacey's house on Revenge of the 5th. Do I think it will make $1 billion? I'm gonna say no.
You want to make another bet?
I think it'll be just under. I think it'll be like in the 850 to 900 range.
Worldwide.
Yep.
All right, Lacey. What do you
It'll
think?
do like
Billion?
500 something domestic.
I think it's making $1 billion. I think it will. I think it's going to be back when the movies are good to go. I think people are, going to be excited to go back to a Star Wars movie. People love Patty Jenkins. People love Wonder Woman. I think people are going to be on board for this because there's going to be, I'm sure, those nostalgic pulls from original Star Wars that will make it feel like, oh, I know exactly what this is. And it's not going to be tied to anything Skywalker related, so you're not going to have to watch anything in advance, I'm sure. So I could see people going for it. People love Top Gun, so I'm going to say yes.
Guess how much money Wonder Woman made in the box office?
Which one?
Wonder Woman.
The first one?
Wonder Woman.
It's the name of the movie.
Yes, I don't know if you're saying if it's the first one or the second
but he would
one,
say
'cause some people-
Wonder Woman 1984.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
but some people do just say Wonder Woman, so I wasn't trying to correct you. I was just asking you to clarify. Sure, how much?
822 million.
Okay, that doesn't change my answer.
Yeah, I
You wanna
mean,
rethink
Wonder
that?
Woman compared to Star
No,
Wars
I
is definitely
don't.
like if it's the quality of a Patty
Can
Jenkins
you take
movie,
this
you know what I
helmet
mean?
off, please?
I'm not sure what is happening. All right.
Well,
so
what if it's
John's...
at? Yeah. Okay. Well, I'm saying if it's at 980 million, and then it's getting close, and they're just like almost there.
Oh my
I
God.
feel like your head
All right, I'll
looks
take it.
heavy.
I'll take it.
Your head looks like you're like
It moves. It moves heavy.
It's a
All right,
cool
I'll take
helmet.
poor audio listeners. Go ahead, James.
John says no. Lacey says yes. I also say no. But for a more terrible reason. I think people are going to get spoiled with the television. I'm kind of in the boat. Like I think the TV stuff is good. It's fine. I love Star Wars and I love the live action Star Wars. I think it's good. I'm not one that's like that puts the movies themselves on the big pedestal. I just want Star Wars stories and content and stuff. And I kind of think that there's a good chance that whole idea of why would I pay X amount of dollars to see Star Wars in the theater when I could just watch Star Wars at home, because I'm regularly getting a lot of Star Wars content for free. It's not free, but when you're subscribed to a streaming service, everything always feels free. It feels like it's just on Netflix. You're
I
not
did
paying
buy
for it,
Raya,
really.
so they got me.
No, I understand that. Yeah. And it's not that it's not going to make a lot of money. I just think $1 billion is always a high standpoint. Only so many movies have ever done that. And I think there's a good chance that Star Wars might actually kind of saturate their own market a little bit, in the sense that like it becomes less special. But we'll see.
I do want to say, though, that I have been right about Patty Jenkins and Taika in One with the Will of the Force, so my record's pretty good.
Not last question, but the next question coming from a Resistance officer is from General John Reese. John wanted to know, will Kenobi commune with both Qui-Gon and Yoda in the Kenobi series? Lacey, this is coming to you first.
Yes, of course. Yep. Mm-hmm. Absolutely. I think they set it
John.
up with Revenge of the Sith that he's going to do it, so yes.
No, that's fine. Yeah, John, you seem to be on the opposite side of Lacey yet again. What are you thinking?
Nope, I was bluffing. Yes.
I was going to say, he said that he'll go to Dagobah, so I don't
I'm
know why
surprised.
he's going, because he's already said he'll go there.
I was already the first person to say that Liam Neeson's going to be in the show, so that was me. So whenever you hear that idea anywhere else, just know I was the first to say it, because it's not obvious or anything. I actually do think he's going to Dagobah. So more than commune with Yoda, he's going to be hanging out in person. None of this Zoom calling. They're going to be post-pandemic in a galaxy far, far away, hanging out on Dagobah.
Very cool. Yeah, it's good to have a little bit of uniformity here, because I too think that Qui-Gon and Yoda are all coming in here. And I like the idea of like I don't know, like hanging out at the campfire or something like that. Like all three of them
I actually
kind of
think it
having
would
the
be
chat.
cool. Yeah, cool to see Obi-Wan or Qui-Gon and Yoda talk again.
I think what would be really interesting here is if he's been regularly communing with Yoda in Force Ghost form, maybe, but we don't really know that,
Yeah.
But like when Obi-Wan gets there and he goes, look who's here or whatever, and he like turns and we get to see him come up. It's going to be this big reveal. And in canon, that will probably be the first time that a Force Ghost has ever made himself appear. You know what I mean? Like there might be some understanding that Yoda was talking to and communing with him, but he's not surprised when he finally sees him in person. That's not like going to shock Yoda. It's going to be a big surprise to Ewan McGregor's Obi-Wan. Yeah.
And the 24-year gap between when he filmed Phantom Menace to now for Liam Neeson is condensed in my opinion, because he was 46 or so when he filmed that, but he easily could have played 55, and now he's like late 60s. He can probably pull off late 50s, so it sandwiches a bit, and they'll make him, he's going to look really good, I think, and it's going to be nice,
if you can do what you did with Luke, you could absolutely do that with
I think they'll do it it'll be an easier, it'll look more real, I think, with him. Yeah.
No, it would. Yeah. All right. We're all three in agreement on that one. Good question though. John, glad you submitted it. Last question for Will of the Force though this week is, will Obi-Wan Kenobi go by the name Obi-Wan Kenobi in the said Obi-Wan Kenobi series? It may seem like an easy question, but if you start to put a little thought into it, it might actually get a little tricky. John, we're going to bounce back with you on this one first. What are your thoughts?
I think that's one of the biggest questions going into this series. And if they want to preserve that continuity where he hears the name and he's so jarred by it when he hears it in A New Hope and says, that's a name I haven't heard in a long time, since before you were born, you got to imagine he's not going to go by that name in this show. Now, people may refer to him as that if he encounters Vader and he says, Obi-Wan. But I have to think the same way I said about Lando pronouncing Han's name Han. They are very tuned into that type of continuity, and you have to imagine he's going to start this series going by Ben, and maybe we find out why he does, but it'll be one of those things like right out of the gate, they're like, let's get that out of the way, and that's what he's going to go by.
Lacey?
Yeah, I think he's going to go by Ben, and then the Obi-Wan name reveal is going to be with Qui-Gon.
So Qui-Gon will say it, you're saying?
Mm-hmm. I think he's going to be the first one that we hear it from.
That's not my name anymore.
And that will be a great reveal once you finally see Qui-Gon. He'll be like, Obi-Wan Kenobi type thing, yeah. And then that's the only person you'll hear it from, so technically he hasn't really heard it in a long time. You only heard it from that one guy who's dead.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely is tricky, because I think that any fan would be like, no, they're going to call him Ben in the show. But if that is the case, then why would they name this show Obi-Wan Kenobi when they could have called it a million other things, including just Kenobi?
Because the general audience knows
regular
Obi-Wan
practice.
Kenobi. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because the general audience wouldn't know who Ben Kenobi is if he called it that.
I think they'd know Obi-Wan over Ben.
Yeah, but the one thing, and I put this in my article about like predicting what we might see in the Obi-Wan Kenobi series based on A New Hope, is Leia's immediate recognition of the name Ben Kenobi when Luke says it. She says it like she's heard it a billion times, and she says, Ben Kenobi, where?
Yeah, where?
She doesn't say Ben Kenobi. So she knows the name. So it's going to be one of those things where these people become familiar with him being known as Ben Kenobi, and it's just a matter of how
I
it's
really thought of that.
Yeah, implemented. And then, like Lacey said, maybe we get Qui-Gon, and it's that's a name I haven't heard in a long time from an alive person, certain point of view.
Right, and it's also the title reveal when people say whatever the movie or show is in a line. You're like, there it is. Like, I feel like he'd be the guy that would do it.
Rogue One.
Yeah.
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 Da, 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 da.
Yeah, I agree with what you guys are saying, and generally I do agree with that, Lacey, as far as like the marketing standpoint. But like when it comes to these particular Star Wars shows, like so far, they named the show Mandalorian, and it's like that's a big bomb name. It ended up being fine because everybody learned what Mandalorian was, but
I
what a
think it's
dumb
'cause
name
it's
that
not a-
nobody can connect with.
Right, and I totally
And the
agree
same
with
for
you there.
Andor too.
Mandalorian-
Nobody knows who Andor
Right.
is.
Right, and Mandalorian, you look at it, you're like, what? But you know it's Star Wars. Obi-Wan Kenobi is
Yeah.
one of those names that if you're not even a Star Wars fan, you know what that name is, like Darth Vader. So it's only smart
Yeah.
for them to make the show that title.
And also, don't
I
forget,
know,
like,
but
from-
they
just
could
from
have just
the-
called the show Kenobi. They could have called the show Ben Kenobi, and people would still have had the connection way more than
I
both the
would've
other
liked
two
that.
examples, Mandalorian and Andor.
But also, don't forget the thematic element of it, like, you know, like Logan, you know, with Wolverine,
Mhm.
and that's his real name, and whatever.
They just call
The
it
thing
Ben.
about they could have. The thing about Kenobi though is like he will. It's like one of those things they can do the thematic aspect of it and say like, no matter how much he runs away from it or tries to take on this other name, he will always be Obi-Wan Kenobi, and he's going to show why he's Obi-Wan Kenobi, and that's why they're calling it the series, even though he's doing things that skirt that history. So I think that's the angle they'll play. And but
Yeah,
the real
definitely.
reason is, like Lacey said, just that Obi-Wan Kenobi, the name. Oh yeah, I know
Like,
that. I watched that
everybody
first Star Wars
knows.
movie. Yeah.
Like my dad
Yeah.
knows that. Bill Gill knows who Obi-Wan Kenobi is.
There you go.
Well, to wrap up Will of the
Obi-Wan.
Force, I just want to say that talk a little bit about the time that Anakin asked him if he had a middle name, and he said, just the one.
Nope. Keep going.
All right.
That's pretty good.
John, what do we
That's
got
pretty good.
to talk about this week? State of Star Wars, you said?
Obi-Wan once thought as you do.
Yeah, so every once in a while we like to take the time we have on the podcast to have an open discussion about the state of Star Wars. Last time was this past fall. I believe it was around November or so. So let's see where we're at today in spring of 2021. A lot has changed. We had a lot more project announcements come out since our last time. Our last time we were kind of a bit concerned about what's been going
Right, it was
on. and
before
then
the Investor Day, right?
it was before the webcast, and they kind of quelled those concerns with all those announcements. So things are a bit different. So, I'm not sure where I want to start. I think I do want to start with something I kind of touched on earlier, and maybe even on Monday, is just we spend so much time on the build-up to these projects, and we're trying to always find information, and especially with Star Wars Newsnet, and we're trying to report on things, and like this, it's going to be really weird when the Obi-Wan Kenobi series comes out, and like we think Mandalorian flies by in 8 weeks. Like those 6 weeks are going to cook, and that show is going to be gone, and Ewan McGregor is going to be out of Star Wars again before we even welcomed him back.
He's like, that's it? That's what I've been waiting for.
Right. And so you got to think that even though it was supposed to be a movie, which is going to be a little over 2 hours for a Star Wars movie, they could still do 30-minute episodes at 6 episodes for 240 minutes, and that's 4 hours or whatever. So they can still do that sort of thing. But you got to think that maybe they're going to really invest time knowing that we aren't going to have other opportunities to tell these types of Obi-Wan stories in this medium. Like this is our window with this character. So I hope anyway that they're going to really stretch it out, and maybe that's why they kept bringing in more writers to try to figure out how to make that work. And I think
They do
we're gonna be
monthly
looking
releases.
not that way. I mean, I think each episode may be on the longer side than what we're getting for like the Mandalorian and stuff, and it may be on a more consistent basis where Favreau's kind of like, that chapter there, that's a 29-minute chapter, or that one's an hour. This one's gonna feel more like, there's your 53 minutes. There's your 53
we'll
minutes.
expand on that later, or in season 2 or whatever, that idea, you know what I mean? But it's like you don't get that with this, so everyone's got to be like 50 plus or something.
And when you have the same director like Deborah Chow, that really leans itself to more of a consistency on an episode to episode basis than Rick, here's your episode, this is what's going to happen here. Peyton, this is what you got going on. Dave, you got the Ahsoka thing. Like we got that trimmed down to about 40 minutes or so. This is Deborah Chow working with the writers, knowing how she wants to set this series up with obviously Kathleen Kennedy and all. So I think this is going to be a way more balanced episodic thing. And I hope they do make it longer. And I know, James, you're wondering what they're going to do with this story, but you got to figure they've had it figured out at this point. It's been in the pot stirring for so long.
Yeah.
I just want
whatever they do with the story, they're going to be able to have 6 episodes. Yeah, I'm not.
I just want to enjoy the journey to it and the lead up to it, because like I said, it's going to be gone so quick. So as we're all biting and saying, we want the Obi-Wan Kenobi, it's going to be like, you get your Halloween candy as a kid and you eat it all and you're like, oh, it's a year until next Halloween. But there's not going to be, there's no next Halloween for Kenobi. This is it. So I want to kind of really just enjoy this next year until we get to the series. So that's kind of where I want to kick things off here.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with that. I
Okay.
am someone that definitely loves the build up to things. And I think there was a period of time when we had nothing really going on. I think it was pretty much before Mandalorian. It was like that half a year where nothing was really going on. And it was like we were waiting to hear more about The Mandalorian, and Rise of Skywalker had just ended, and we were just like, what now? And there's nothing like the build up to a new project or new movie or new TV show for Star Wars fans. Like getting any little bit that you like get to speculate on for weeks on end. And then when the project like Mandalorian happens, you get to speculate every week. And then you're like, oh my gosh, how did I make it through the past 2 months? And then you're like, wow, I would do it all over again because it's just that much fun and it's just that awesome. So I really enjoy the build up to projects a lot. It's just this lull period where there isn't any hype right now. It's just kind of all, like you said, John, just kind of cooking, just getting going. But it's definitely not something I take for granted, because we'll be here a year from now being like, okay, what next?
Right. Yeah.
I think it's weird because I was just talking earlier about how television is going to kind of spoil us. But when it comes in like this and we're like, oh, we're all excited for WandaVision, and it feels like it just is like done, it's probably because what are the chances that people are really going to go back often and revisit WandaVision over and over and over again, And I think that's something that you lose in TV versus a movie, because it's very likely that people will revisit a lot of the Marvel movies because they can just throw it on. Like, oh, I haven't seen Thor 2 in a while, whatever, throw it on. But if they know that like
to throw it back on.
Well, that's what I'm saying is like even though it's like a low point, it's still like it's not that big of a deal to throw it on and it runs through for 2 hours. But if you knew that they did like a Thor series that was not that good and it was 6 episodes or 8 episodes or something, like that's even more chance that it's just going to get buried. So I in a way, like I kind of think like we're going to enjoy this time with Obi-Wan Kenobi, but it makes me wonder how often people are going to go back and revisit this series as much as they would if it was a movie, because they'd rewatch it and they'd rewatch it again and they'd rewatch it again. You know what I mean? And it would really ingrain that period. But it's like with a show, it's like there's so much content, even in these 6 hours or whatever they end up doing, that it might in some ways kind of get lost in the sauce. And I feel like if we're starting off with Kenobi, that's where it's at. But that is obviously expands to every other show that we're talking about here, in the way that like we're getting ready to enter a new era, where like we talk about the Schmodown sometime. When does Star Wars Schmodown move into asking these television questions and stuff? Because like it isn't anymore about like these 6 movies or these 9 movies. It really is like this whole pantheon of stuff that we're going to have. That's just like are we already there? Is television already out live actioned the movies?
I think that's tough. I've said this before. It's easy to say that now in this bubble where no one goes to theaters,
time frame. Like, is there more content of Mandalorian than there is of all of the Star Wars movies put together? I don't think we're there yet.
8 hours a season?
It's not even 8 hours a season,
It's not
Yeah, I
even
don't
8
think
hours
we're
a
there
season. It's
yet,
probably
James,
closer to
but we
4
will
hours
be.
a season. So you're probably looking at 8 hours. So no, it's probably like half of the series right now. But
Right.
but soon
The Star Wars
TV's
movies are
going to
like
overtake
28
it
hours.
really quickly.
Yeah.
Yeah. But that, and I don't like comparing. It's hard to compare movie storytelling to TV storytelling because it's just a completely different type of,
True.
way they tell it. So, but the whole thing about, and I don't want to dive too much into Marvel here, but like for me, I like all the Marvel movies and that sort of thing, but a lot of them are one watches for me. Like I have no desire or interest to go watch Avengers Endgame again or something like that. Whereas, Star Wars movies, I'm always going to watch those. And, I know that's because I'm a Star Wars nut and it's different. There's Marvel people out there that probably watched Endgame 400 times. I'm sure there's people who have like, I went to the theater 5,000 times, the Endgame.
Well, there's the one guy who saw Captain Marvel. What was it he said? Like,
I mean, that's...
Yeah.
I mean,
some
Well, if
ridiculous
you had
amount.
Movie Pass, you could go see it unlimited, basically.
Yeah.
I mean, is he just trying to meet Brie Larson? Like, I want to...
He did meet Brie Larson.
Well, there you go. He should have just won a
I'll
charity
look it up
auction.
just for fun. It's ridiculous, though.
Yeah. Yes, but like with the Star Wars like thing for me, I like to think that they make their storytelling with more longevity, whereas I don't know that Marvel cares to be like, yeah, this Endgame, I want Endgame to be something in 50 years that people are going to pass on to their grandkids, whereas Star Wars, I feel like, it's special in that way. And that's not to take anything away from Marvel. I mean, they're absolutely crushing it now, but there's got to be the superhero bubble at some point. Maybe Marvel loses its luster a little bit. They jump the shark at some point. We're kind of waiting for the other shoe to drop. I just don't see those movies having that sort of staying power as our modern mythology, whereas Star Wars, like, it's going to be something that generations do pass down to one another. And maybe that's why there's not a Marvel celebration. Maybe Star Wars is that thing that really does connect people and families and generations. And I think that leans itself to the type of storytelling that they make. So I do separate them in that way. And I guess my point is, I will probably rewatch the Kenobi series. I'll be like, you know what? I haven't watched Kenobi in a while. Like, let me dive back into that. Or like, let me go watch that Mando chapter with Cobb Vanth again. That sort of thing. And that's being a diehard Star Wars fan. But it's a Star Wars podcast. So that's what we do.
It was
I would argue that
116 times.
That's ridiculous.
That's insane.
I would argue that movies like Spider-Man 2 with Tobey Maguire are definitely movies that have stood the test of time, that people always go back to as one of the best superhero movies ever, with themes
That's a good
and
movie,
acting
yeah.
and everything. I would kind of argue that WandaVision is one of those things that people are going to go back to. I've already gone back to it 2 or 3 times. It's like
Really?
that good. Yeah, it's that good. So I'm interested to see how Falcon and Winter Soldier holds up, because that just came out.
That's already out, technically.
Yeah, so the just came out,
As
so
of
I'm interested to
this
see
podcast,
as the whole season progresses how it holds up to WandaVision, because WandaVision was definitely different than anything Marvel's ever done before.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, no, I would stress that like the older Superman movies, the newer ones are great, but I don't know, that Tobey Maguire Superman 2 or Spider-Man 2 was just that good. I said Superman, I meant Spider-Man. Was that good?
I thought that was funny.
I can't really think of anything else that like I would say is like, besides Iron Man, as like something that constantly you would be like, oh, that is a defining factor for the Marvel. But again, I would stress that I'm a bigger Star Wars fan than a Marvel fan, but I don't know if I would list it on my top 10 movies. And I think that's the thing that you're kind of going for, right, John? Is like you wouldn't.
Yeah, and I know people are gonna get mad at me about that, but
It's
I mean,
not
if we're
even-
being
It's not even like a personal thing. It's just like if you look at any top 10 list, Star Wars might be up there, but you're not going to see Iron Man up there. And that's not just because Iron Man's not a good movie. It's just, it's not the same. It's like,
it's not a legendary, and Iron Man's one of my favorite ones, because I love Jon Favreau, but I'm not gonna be like, man, Ant-Man and the first Avenger and those things, like, I guess, but and I don't want to focus on that comparison too much. Like, I definitely want to talk about what your thoughts on, and we did talk about it in the podcast recently,
I think
but
the future is definitely television. If we're kind of leaning into that television angle. I think the future of Star
So
Wars is television, which is different, I think, than the conversation we had in the fall, which was what is next for movies? How is what we're going through right now going to affect those movies? And it has. You know, Disney has now pivoted to, we're doing 100 new things a year on Disney Plus, and we're focusing on streaming, and we're moving budgets and marketing dollars and production dollars to streaming. So you can't help but think they're gonna do more series.
What do you think about Bob Chapek saying we plan on Kathleen Kennedy steering this Lucasfilm ship for years to come?
Did he say years to come? I'm sorry, I don't remember what he said.
It was like, yeah, for years and years. It was one of those, like, for a long time. It was one of those statements, like, where it was like she's going nowhere sort of thing.
I couldn't remember what the exact quote was.
Do you guys think Kathleen Kennedy wants to stick around for much longer? What else does she have to prove? Like, I always felt like she felt this obligation to complete that trilogy and take the baton from George Lucas and finish that. But she seems to be enjoying her position and stuff like that. I'm just so curious because everyone's always sort of wondering so much. And
I know she's always the big conversation piece, huh? It's like, what is Kathleen doing?
Yeah, and I think we universally on this podcast are of the understanding that if she leaves, it's either going to be on her terms or they're going to make sure it's presented that way.
So just to jump in, the quote was, he said he is looking forward to, quote, to having Kathy directing the activities of the entire Lucasfilm operation for many years to come.
Interesting. Okay, cool. Yeah. I think that clearly says she's sticking around. I don't think he would say years to come if he didn't mean it. That's a very specific time frame. That being said, I could see her setting up Lucasfilm to succeed years down the road and then passing it off, kind of like a Bob Iger to a Bob Chapek.
Right.
I could see her, kind of maybe taking a step back and someone coming in, but then her still kind of playing along with the transition like Bob Iger did. I don't know. I feel like she's in it right now. She loves doing what she does. She loves what she's done so far. She's very interested in what projects are coming forward. That's why they had her on the Disney Investor Day. So I don't think she's going anywhere. I think she's just setting things up for success years down the line. But for now, she's in it.
Okay. James, what are your thoughts on that? I mean, we've kind of touched it. Do you think? I guess we're at the point where Disney is obviously publicly all in on Kathleen Kennedy, and you have some people saying, "Well, they have to say that. They wouldn't say, oh, yeah." They like what she's doing. She's making them a lot of money. She's the executive producer of The Mandalorian. No matter what you want to cook up in your brain, do you think Kathleen Kennedy agrees and she wants to stick around for a long time? Do you think it's just one of those things like, yeah, she's happy, she's comfortable, and she's going to go well into her 70s running Lucasfilm? Where are you at?
So, yeah, my thoughts right now are...
Because she's almost 70, I think.
My thoughts right now might be a little bit different than probably where they were post The Last Jedi and, even post Rise of Skywalker, which we're in right now. But still, a lot has changed since The Rise of Skywalker, even in the sense that, we got Mandalorian season 2 and everybody goes, yeah, still a banger, still awesome. It wasn't like season 1 came out and the Mandalorian season 2 dropped and they're like, oh, okay, that was a one season thing.
It's even better than season 1.
Yeah. So I think right now the state of looking back at everything Kathleen Kennedy has done is let's just say we all agree. We don't, but let's just say we all agree that Last Jedi was a miss and Rise of Skywalker was a miss. We all generally agree that she did more movies that were a plus than she did, and including television. So right now, her track record for Star Wars is still fairly positive, and that's getting ready to go into the okay, maybe the movies were a miss, but I think generally people are more accepting of television because if an episode isn't really that great, they know that the next one probably will be, and it doesn't really stir up.
That's true.
I mean, it stirs up controversy, but I think over time, the only thing that could really happen is if they absolutely completely botch the end of Mandalorian, like a Game of Thrones situation or something like that. But I think with it connecting like Star Wars does to Ahsoka and Rangers of the New Republic, and they're gonna have this big crossover event at the end, I can't imagine that they just completely bomb it.
Well,
especially too, since Game of Thrones, like when that ended, that's it. That's the end for those characters. But it's like they could do this, and then they could still like, I don't know, they could still play around with characters showing up at different time frames and other things like that. Like it's not over with Star Wars. That's the thing, is they're always going to be able to play back. I think what people don't like about Star Wars is the finality of being like, hey, we made a decision and that's it. If you're playing in the television game, then all bets are off. Anybody can come back. Anybody can be around. I mean, Luke Skywalker is a good example of that. You know what I mean? They didn't like the finality of it. And so they're like, all right, we'll bring him back. We'll figure out a way to bring back the Luke you want. You know, television is great for that.
There's definitely a danger there. And I don't mean just with like fans on social media and stuff, but you can see like trades now. And I'm not saying it's desperation, but it's certainly a want to drive traffic that you wouldn't have expected a couple years ago. Like, he's great and everything, but like, I feel like it was a little below Bresnikan to like write this piece about the egg controversy with the episode of The Mandalorian, and like nobody is even remotely talking about that anymore. And people tried to make it into this huge thing that Jon Favreau was this horrible person to have written this scene in this show, which when I watched it, I didn't even think anything of it. I thought Baby Yoda was just being a dumb baby and he was eating things.
Babies eat everything, especially stuff that you tell them not to.
It's just like, it's this want to always have that sort of reaction, and let me dip my toe in the water first and see what people are saying. Oh, okay, a lot of people are saying that, then I'll say it too. That bothers me. And then when it gets fortified by a big trade like Variety to do something like that, it just fans flames so hard, and it's going to make things harder for fans to steer through. And I think it turns people off a lot. So I don't want to dive too much into that, but I just hope that stuff, I hope we've kind of hit a peak on that sort of thing, and maybe that bubble bursts a little bit and that sort of stuff kind of dies down. Because when you look back on that episode and you know what Peyton Reed had to deal with fans getting angry about it and Jon Favreau getting it and all this stuff, like it seems so ridiculous. And the further we move from it, it really seems so blown out of proportion. But when you're in that moment, everyone's like, oh, I gotta say something, or if I don't say something, then they're gonna think that I don't care, and blah blah. It's just this mess. And then you get a big trade talking about it, and it's just like, it's important, look at that, Variety's talking about it. So I just hope people chill on that and find your revenue in other ways. But I do want to touch on a positive thing, which is a positive thing, which is, do you guys think there is an end window for them to make Solo 2 happen in terms of Alden Ehrenreich and like
I'm just
his
thinking
age
of the
and that
complaints
sort of thing?
we've gotten that we talk about this too much. You're on the wrong podcast if you don't.
If anybody is complaining about us talking about wanting more Star Wars, then don't listen to Star Wars podcasts, please. Like,
I just remember that complaint that we got.
or go listen to a Star Wars podcast that does nothing but.
I don't
bitch
think
about
the
stuff
time's
all the
running
time.
out. I think they have a good couple years before they could really make that decision. But I think you've said this before, John, which is Alden's getting older, and that's not like a age like, oh, that's terrible. It's just he's going to age out of the role.
That's tricky. It is. So my only comparison that I made is Felicity Jones was 32 when she played Jyn Erso, and she was playing her as a 21-year-old.
Some people look younger than others, though.
And I think Alden does have a young face. If you compare a 31-year-old Alden Ehrenreich to a 31-year-old Harrison Ford was just a grown man. That guy was out of the
he
womb.
Is all man,
He was an adult man. And I feel like Alden Ehrenreich does have that kind of boyish look to him, so they could pull it off. I think they have maybe 3 years that they can probably still pull this off. And they only need to
there's
do
more
one.
to that.
You do?
I think, because I think there's something like a brain, like our brains are going to get tricked. Like, no matter how old Alden gets, if you see him and he's supposed to be playing, now he might not be able to pull off like,
teen Solo.
Yeah, or something, you know what I'm saying? Like a character is only supposed to be like 1 year older than he was in the last movie. But if they want to kind of play it and they want to just say like, yeah, he's older than he was, but clearly I think our brains are going to see him and go, oh yeah, that's the young Han Solo. That's the one that's like roughly like 10 years before the one we see in A New Hope. Even if it's been 10 years since Solo came out, I think we'll still like put that together that
I agree.
Alden looks older, but there's something about the fact that it's him is you're going to be like, oh, this is the Solo era Han, and not the A New Hope thing. So I think they actually have a little bit more time than we're giving them credit for, just because it's like a brain trick. What we see is what we imagine.
He's 31 now, and when he was filming as Han, he was 27, and he was supposed to be playing an 18-year-old at the beginning.
What? No. Han?
Yeah.
No, Han's 29 in A New Hope.
I'm talking about Solo. He was like 21. And he was 3 years before that. Like, he was a teenager at the beginning.
Yeah,
You
sorry,
get what I'm
I was
okay.
totally on a completely different page.
So
I was like, what? No.
Yeah. So if they want Alden to play like 25, 26-year-old Han or something like that, that could play, and he could probably still do that up until he's 35 years old. So I'm giving it like 4 years. They can still do this, and maybe to your point, James, maybe they can push it out a little more. So for people who say, oh, he's going to age out, you can't make the comparison to Harrison Ford because they just look different. And I think Alden's young looks, he can pull it off. And I hope they do it sooner than later, of course, because we want to see it. Like the hashtag exists to end. Because we want more Solo. We don't want to be doing this for forever. So I don't know. What do you guys think, Lacey? You haven't really touched too much on that. Do you agree with James in terms that they could really stretch it out? Do you think there's a limit here for him, or?
If they're picking up right after the last movie, they've got a limit. But if they're doing what James says, which is going a little bit forward, they have more time. I'm confident from what we've heard, from the interest that they've had. They're putting out Solo merchandise. It's not like they dropped it. Like they didn't stop. I think that we're going to see a continuation. The question is how.
Yeah. And when I hope it is his own thing. I'd hate to see them bring him in as a cameo or something like that, because I think Alden's a better talent than that. I think he deserves more than that, but
it could be a cameo to start and then go off into its own thing.
It could. You're right. It could. I don't know, because a part of me wants them to pick up right where Solo left off, because I would love to see Han meeting Jabba for the first time.
Yeah.
I think they could easily do it like 1 or 2 years later, where he's been working with Jabba.
He's working for Jabba,
and cut that little origin story type stuff out and just get to the meat of it of him.
That's
going on
fair.
adventures.
That's a good point. I think. Yeah, I agree with that. I actually think that wouldn't be a
problem. But they better bring that puppet back. I swear to God.
Salacious Crumb for sure. Yeah.
No, Jabba.
Oh.
I've got a topic for you guys.
Yeah.
I want to know what you guys think is the overall like mental state or mental health of the franchise right now, as far as like the fandom goes, because I think if we were a stock market, you know what I mean, and it's like going up for this movie and down for this movie or whatever. Yeah, exactly. I think that right now where we're at, having just got that Investors Day of like, hey, Mandalorian Season 2 came out. It was really great. We have Obi-Wan. We have Andor. We know you're excited about those, but we have all these other shows and all these other things. And Ahsoka is now a live-action character, and there's rumors for Ezra coming in and stuff. It's like, I feel like right now the general state of Star Wars is way more healthy and way more positive than it has been in recent time.
I don't know, Lacey, you're pretty dialed in, so yeah.
I think it was positive when Mandalorian was going on. I think it's positive when new announcements are made. It's that lull period in between projects where we haven't gotten anything that people try to go down that downward spiral of, oh, let me go back to the things I don't like. Let me go back to things that didn't work. I've had time to sit on this for a little bit, and you know what? I didn't like this. Whereas I feel like when it's happening, like when I'm up at 3 a.m. watching these things every week, I was loving it. Everyone around me was loving it. I didn't see any negativity. It was always the following week about something that people would be negative about when they thought about it a little bit or got to talk to each other about it. I think overall, I think we have more Star Wars fans than ever. I think that's very clear. I think that the sequel trilogy and all the other things and The Mandalorian have brought in new, excited fans for Star Wars content. I think that there's a lot of people that are excited of what's to come, and they've seen success with the High Republic. I think the books are doing really well. I think ultimately, I've said I think several times, so I apologize. Ultimately, it really depends on how they deliver these projects. Because there is this thing as a Star Wars fan where you go, great, this is awesome, I can't wait to see it, but is it going to happen? Or is this going to go well? Like, you have that kind of nervous anxiety of, like, you just want to see it work out, like The Mandalorian Season 1 and Mandalorian Season 2, where everybody's happy. You just want to see that collective, like, we're in this together. Force Awakens 2015, like, we all enjoid this.
Well,
Rogue
you know there's
One
going to
was
be...
great.
There's those boycotts of Mandalorian Season 3. You know those are coming.
I think overall everyone loves being a Star Wars fan, is excited for the Star Wars to come, can't wait to see where it's going to go. I think that there is ultimately always going to be a group of people that will try to bring that down because it gets more clicks. Not just from the people that also hate it, but from the people that don't agree that give them those clicks. And that's the crazy part, is oftentimes the people that get this attention for being negative aren't even being supported for being negative. They get attacked for being negative, thus getting more attention.
I agree with that 100%.
So I think that if we collectively agree to focus on the good over the bad, and that's not a critique of saying you can't criticize things and you can't talk about things that didn't work, because you totally can. But I think there's a balance of those things. Like in the Force, there's good and bad. There's a balance there that I don't know if it will ever be reached, but I long for the day of a new series that we can all be excited about again.
Yeah.
I feel... Yeah,
John?
go ahead, James. Well, I was just going to say, less and less I've been interested in the social media element of being a Star Wars fan. And even though I'm still on there regularly, you would be shocked at the type of phrasings and words I have muted that I literally have the word discourse muted. So anytime anyone talks about that word, it doesn't show up in my timeline. Because I feel like anytime I see that word, it's someone complaining about other people. And that's to Lacey's point. Like, 99% of the time, I see someone complaining about a bad person more than I see the bad person doing something. And I don't want to see that. Like, there's this account called, like, S-word Star Wars takes or whatever. And they were created to point out bad people or bad Star Wars takes. I blocked that account immediately because why would I want to see that? And then they blocked me, like, well, okay, whatever. But, like, I don't want to see people shoving bad things in my face. So why would I want to see an account that's dedicated to that? You know what I'm saying? So it wasn't anything personal to that person. I just, no thanks. But and that's how I treat our podcast. Like, I feel like a lot of people feel like Twitter is Star Wars fandom, and it's just not. It is a very minor percentage of what Star Wars fans are like, and the only way to remind yourself of that is like going out and really talking to real people who like Star Wars. That's why I think the movie theater experience is still going to be very important for Star Wars fans. Stuff like Celebration. Anytime you can get face-to-face real interactions with real Star Wars fans, real Star Wars families. I mean, the kids that would, come up to us after our panels and stuff like that, like the future generations of Star Wars fans, like that's the real Star Wars fandom. And I agree with Lacey that there's more fans now than ever. And I can't wait for this new generation who were 5 when The Force Awakens came out in 10 years to be the new podcasters and the bloggers, and the sequel trilogy is going to get this huge monumental redemption. And they're, the people who complain about the people who hate the prequels are going to be the people, they're going to become the villain. They're going to be the ones who now who hate J.J. Abrams or hate Rian Johnson. They're going to be the cranky old people. So it's just that history repeats itself. But I like the fact that I think the future is very bright for Star Wars fandom, and we're going to get more content than we've ever had before. So it's a great time to be a Star Wars fan, and I like the fact that three of us, I take pride in the fact that we are critical, and but we do it with respect. And I think you get and you deserve the type of audience that you put out, if that makes sense. So the type of vibe you put out is the type of people you draw to yourself. So if you find yourself surrounded by people who are constantly negative, bringing stuff down, and it's all a bummer and complaining about this, that's wrong, I hate this, that's what you're putting out, and that's the type of magnet that you're pulling towards you. So I take pride in the fact that the three of us have shepherded this ship in kind of a way that, if you look at our audience and all of our people, they're all kinds of Star Wars fans. They like this, they like that. They may disagree on things, but everyone gets along. And so from where we are here in the base, Star Wars fandom looks good to me.
Yeah, I think the big thing that we've always focused on is respect. If you respect others for their opinions, they'll respect your opinions. The three of us alone have so many things that we don't agree on all the time. Mm-hmm. And sometimes we get heated and a little defensive, but that's okay because we all just care about this thing so much. And I think what gets lost in translation and text and online is that there is that loss of tone and that loss of being face to face with someone and realizing that they just care as much as you do. And I think that that's something that we always kind of highlight and put out there as like, we respect you no matter what your opinion is, as long as you're respectful back, and not just to us, but to people also that are engaging with our content.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's, I mean, just to go back to what I was saying, and just about the fandom in general being, in my personal opinion, kind of on like the up and up, is just because I think like if you were to make that graph chart, that line graph or whatever, of the time, it's like when was fandom like at its absolute lowest point? And it feels at times like it was that Last Jedi era, and then maybe it took a dip again around, even Solo and Rise of Skywalker potentially again. But it's like, I feel like right now we're in this kind of state where we're sort of past that, and the future that we're looking forward to is positivity around the Disney Plus shows that are coming up, instead of like, oh my God, they're gonna botch all that too. They're gonna Disney's gonna mess that stuff up too. I think there's more this positive notion towards that content coming, Lando and Ahsoka and the Acolyte. Like, we don't even really know what that is, but we're like open to the idea. And then the movies that are coming out, like, I think generally people are like, oh, a Rogue Squadron movie? Cool. No pressure. Oh, Taika Waititi. Cool. Yeah, he's great. Cool. Like, I don't think there's any pressure on that stuff. And right now, I think like if you were to say like, maybe the fandom is healing. We're in a state of healing where we're like, cool, we went through some rough times, but I think like right now we're very neutral, and we're looking forward to what is happening. And last time we had this talk, we weren't really there because we didn't have that investors meeting, and we're like, we don't know what's going on. We feel like they might be done, and we're going to get a show here or there every once in a while, but yeah. And then it's like right now it's like, oh, okay, so they have stuff, and we just got that Kathleen Kennedy announcement again. It's like, no, we're looking forward to her doing stuff long term for us. So it's like, okay, maybe that is negative to some people, but it's almost kind of like a thing like, but the future is television, and so far it seems like you've liked what we've done with television, so that's gonna continue. And I think generally, even the people who hated Last Jedi or whatever, are the sequel trilogy, I should say, are still like, all right. I think in general, because they're okay with the idea of the television and not all the pressure on the heightened movies that ended the Skywalker saga and all this. I think that was a rough period where you just weren't going to have people own social media accounts and still like bury their opinions on these movies that mean so much to them. It's just not going to happen.
The only thing I think, and I know we're up on time a little bit here, so we'll probably go give final thoughts soon, but the only thing I can't see an endgame for is the Last Jedi. Like, that is still raw. Anytime it comes up, it trends, because people who hate it talk about it, and people who love it, some who may be even more hard to listen to than people who hate it, They
Maybe I'm
go
wrong though,
after it.
but clearly it's less than it was, right?
I don't know, man. I feel like
You
TLJ,
think it's
that band
just
gets
the
ripped
same
off.
amount of people talking
I don't
and discussion around it as after it came out?
I'm not saying just as much. I just feel like it hasn't gone away.
Yeah.
It's just anytime that movie comes up, it's not like, okay, we've made peace. It's just always this.
I mean, my manager made a joke about it in my Schmodown match with Evan. She was like, "Don't let anybody
Yeah,
know his
she did.
favorite movie is The Last Jedi." Which, first of all, that's hilarious.
LOL, yeah.
But,
Yeah, it's always going to be that hot button thing, and maybe one day that changes. Like, I hope so, because I still like
and it's
that
only
movie,
because
but-
it is a hot button, by the way. Nothing against Evan liking The Last Jedi.
No, yeah, not at all.
Yeah. And
okay.
my thing is, even if it is a hot button thing, it's going to fall into that territory of like, oh man, the Star Wars holiday special, that's terrible. We all agree. But it's like,
No, yeah.
well, but we're not going to sit there and like really bash it. It's kind of falling into
Right.
that territory of like, it
Mm.
is what it is. And it sucked. We all agree. But, you know, that might not be true. We not all agree. But yeah, it'll go away.
State of Star Wars. We covered Obi-Wan Kenobi and enjoying the ride to that. We talked about, Kathleen Kennedy looks like she's here to stay. We talked about the progression of the TV side of things, looking forward to the new movies without the baggage. We talked about Solo and whether it has a window they need to get to in order to make it happen. We talked about fandom. We covered a lot of stuff here and a lot of good points. I think it's nice to be able to put our stamp on this is TRB's thoughts in spring of 2021. Any last thoughts before we move on to Resistance transmissions from either one of you?
I'm excited to see what our summer one is going to be because that will be after May the 4th.
Sure.
After other
One of
stuff,
us is
so-
getting a pie in the face.
It's going to be you. No, I'm excited to see because it's like 6 months from now, so we'll see where we are.
Yeah.
Yeah,
without a
the only
doubt.
thing, and I'll ride neutral here. The only things we didn't really talk about, I don't think, is we didn't talk about animated Star Wars, and we didn't
That's a
really
good
talk
point.
about book and publishing. I actually feel like the animated Star Wars is probably not looking too promising right now. We have Bad Batch that's coming up, and that could be cool, but it's not a whole lot that we're looking at to really make us be like, oh, and then they're going to do this, and then they're going to do that. So we're not
Who
really
fills the
super
gap?
excited on it.
Yeah.
But as far as the publishing end goes, I feel like right now, generally, while it's maybe not hitting it, I don't know if it's hitting as strong as they would like it to or not, but I feel like generally people have accepted the High Republic to be decent, and they're kind of excited about the way that it could end up going down the line. So there's something to look forward to, whereas in the past, it has always felt like it's like, I don't know, they'll do another Poe book or they'll do another Thrawn book, whatever, and right now it feels like they're kind of cultivating a publishing era that is something to look forward to see how they get into it and see how it all comes together and wraps up before we get to the live action,
I mean, we can only hope.
Acrolite. Yeah.
Next time we do this, the summer edition, we're talking about a brand new Padme trilogy of books. One can only hope.
Of course. Yeah.
No, I kid. All right, cool. Lacey, anything else?
Nope.
All right. Now it's your time to shine. I know you're probably running on fumes, but
Yeah.
Resistance Transmissions is the name of the game.
It is. Guys, it's time for Resistance Transmissions. So every week, John puts up a crazy, wacky situation on Twitter at RBATSWNN, and then you guys give your answers, and you get a shot to be on the show. I have been taking French lessons, so eventually I will be able to say this in French. All right, first up, scenario is, caption this photo of the maker, George Walton Lucas Jr., and we'll read as many as we can on the podcast. And then there's a note for me, which I will not read out loud. The picture is George in a plaid shirt with sunglasses on.
Oh yeah.
It's a very like tropical Skittles plaid shirt.
Yeah, it's like red, green, blue.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not his standard
can't
like
pinpoint-
one tone.
I can't
No.
pinpoint what looks different about him, but he looks different in this photo.
Yeah. Looks like he still has
Like his hair's
spirit.
shorter or something.
Yeah.
All right. First up is Skywalker at Dog Skywalker. What's up? They said, "This man is why I never grew up."
I like that. That's
Nice.
sweet.
Next is Rez at Real Rez Ludub. What up, Rez? Rez said, "Doc Brown's voice. Roads, where we're going, we don't need roads."
It kind
Very
of does
nice.
look a little bit Doc Brownie. Yeah.
Next is Geo at Geo_was_here, who says, like, insert kind of like stage direction, sees dinosaurs for the first. My God.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Sees dinosaurs for the first time. Next is Anthony Goodman at Ant Goodman. And Anthony said, "Wait till they hear about the McClunky line. They're going to go crazy." Laughs sinisterly, rolling on the floor laughing. Next is Mello. Hey, Mello, at A Gray Jedi, who said, "In Miami, this is my summer flannel."
Good vibe on
Nice.
that.
Next is Aaron Gould at I Am Aaron Gould. What up, Aaron? Aaron said, "I feel the need for speed. But originally, I couldn't attain the speed that I wanted to do. But now with technology, I can go back and make it the speed I always intended to be. Also, Greedo speeds first." Well done.
I like
Is
it.
Aaron the
Oh.
one that I called a girl and it's not a girl?
I think so.
Aaron,
Yeah,
welcome
that's
back on my anniversary show.
That reminds me, there was an episode of Doug where he was at his grandma's house, and on the sign she had something that said "Keep it simple," and then like right below it, it says, "It doesn't need to be extra complicated. You don't need to go into any extra thing. Like, just keep it simple, simple." I said, or something like that. Is how it ends.
Mhm.
And last but not least is Zach
That's
Slater the fourth at Zach Slater 4, who said,
Jack.
"Oh, sorry, Jack. I'm thinking Saved by the Bell." Anyway, Jack. What up, Jack? Jack said, "Deal with it." Like the meme, like ding,
Oh,
ding.
Yeah.
That's good. I like that.
Well done. Guys, thank you so much. If you want to be on the show, make sure to follow us on Twitter at RBATSWNN and look for the situation. And then also, feel free to follow us on Instagram at The Resistance Broadcast, where we share your reviews of the episodes and tag your stuff and share your photos. It's a good time. John?
Yes. So before we get into the normal stuff, tonight again, 8:30. You haven't had enough TRB yet. So tonight, 8:30 on the YouTube channel, youtube.com/Star Wars Newsnet videos. Tell a friend. We're having the virtual cantina party. It's a party. We're gonna hang out, have a good time. Bring your drinks. Bring your friends. Head
Bring
to the
your
live
pizza
chat.
bites.
Bring your TRB bites, the Resistance bites, and if you have a spot and you're going to be on the stream, bring your drinks, bring your favorite shirt. If you have a TRB shirt, wear one of our shirts. That'd be cool. And if you'd like, just remember the virtual cantina merch is going to be available during the cantina. So for the 90 minutes, if you haven't gotten one yet during the last one, that will be available. So those doors will be open. But more importantly, we just hope you show up, come hang out, have fun. And it's always that nice, refreshing reminder that Star Wars is a good time when you're around good people. All are welcome. Bring all your friends who like Star Wars, and let's have a good time. Make sure you do subscribe to the podcast, because we will be back again on Monday with a regular episode every Monday and Thursday. And again, whether that's YouTube or on your preferred audio app, so Spotify, SoundCloud, Apple Podcasts, Amazon Music, Podbean, wherever you get your podcasts. If we're not on there, let us know. We'll be sure to get on there for you. StarWarsNewsNet.com for all of your Star Wars news, reviews, editorials, information, and more. You can find me on Twitter at Johnny Hoey and StarWarsNewsNet.com, and my movie podcast on all podcast apps, just like the movies. Lacey, how about you?
People can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Lacey Gillerin.
And James?
You can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Myra Trunks, and also becoming the long-awaited, that I always knew I could be, Fast and Furious fan, because I bought all the movies, and I've now officially watched 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and part of 7, and I get it now. Justice for Han, guys.
I love
big
Han.
into it.
Tokyo Drift
It's
my
so
favorite
good.
Fast and the Furious movie.
After
I
you
love
watch
Tokyo
6,
Drift.
it's like I have to go back and watch 3 again.
Tokyo Drift is so
Go
good.
back and watch 3.
I don't know. This got away from me, guys. I podcast a quarter mile at a time. That's all I can say. We hope you have a great weekend. We hope we see most of you tonight. But either way, we'll be back Monday morning with another episode right here on TRB. We'll see you around, kids.